Hello YouTube, this is Robo J. Welcome to my channel, and I am making this video today uh, out of a sadder context. I just got the sad news that the French electronic slash dance duo Daft Punk have officially broke up. They are done, and I haven't made a video on here in quite some time. My apologies to those who've subscribed to my channel. Real life outside of YouTube has been catching up to me, and I haven't been able to put a lot of time into making videos for my channel. But rest assured, I'm trying to get some stuff ready for that, some content. But I was actually pushed to make this video because I got the news that Daft Punk had split up, and I wanted to make a video just expressing my deepest thanks and gratitude, and in a way, it's my own eulogy of sorts, of celebrating the life and work of who I think are one of the greatest musical entities, most influential musical entities that have ever existed in my lifetime. And Daft Punk, quite simply, were and have been the soundtrack of my life, part of the soundtrack of my life, growing up into adulthood. Their album Discovery came out when I was a junior, going into a senior in high school in 2001, and since then they've just been a part of my life. And with going into adulthood with their albums Human After All, and then later on with the Tron soundtrack, and of course Random Access Memories, they've just been a part of my life. And so this getting this news is just incredibly sad and very heartbreaking, but at the same time I feel so happy and so lucky to have had a group like Daft Punk in my life, and in all of our lives. Not just because of their influence, which is huge on me and many others, but just the fact that their music celebrated life and love and all the good emotions. I don't think there's any Daft Punk song that is, of at least of like a, overly melancholy kind of. They do have some like slower, more introspective songs, but in general, you could say that Daft Punk's music was just about celebration. Literally like celebration, like one more time. But that's what it was. It was about celebrating life and dancing your heart out and enjoying everything, getting lucky, bringing life back into music, all these titles of their songs, that they encapsulate so much of that. And so that's that's part of why it hits so hard that they have decided to officially end as a group. And of course, all things must end, sadly. Amazing bands along, that includes amazing groups. I've all of us have been through this before, but it just hits hard, when you have such an amazing group of guys like that. And I just wanted to make this video as just a way to say thank you to them. And it's just to say, I will always cherish, the music and the work. Well, in case you've been living under a rock for the last 20 odd years, in terms of popular music, Daft Punk are a French electronic dance duo. They are comprised of Thomas Bengleter and Guy Manuel de Hohencristo. Forgive me if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. I try to. They formed in 1993, and I believe that they met in high school or college, I think. And they actually started off as a rock band. They called themselves Darlin', which is actually they named it after a Beach Boys song. Which, if you haven't heard it, listen to it. It's really nice song. The lead of that is actually Carl Wilson, the same one who sang lead on God Only Knows. And they originally were just doing like kind of pop dance stuff. And then at one point, they had a review of I think it was the NME magazine. Forgive me if I'm wrong. I think so, but they described their music as Daft Punky trash, which not only is a hilarious way to call their music, but they ended up using that when Guy Manuel and Thomas decided to continue as just a duo, and they took that and they became Daft Punk. They released their first album, Homework, in 1997, a benchmark album, I consider it, in terms of electronic dance music in the 90s. And they continued on and blew it wide open with 2001's Discovery. And Discovery and Homework, the workflow of those albums was basically around sampling. And they took, what they did was they would take little snippets, little tiny snippets of like dance music, pop, R&B, soul, all these different kinds of sounds, and they would just make new like electronic dance tracks to them. I mean, they had drum machines and synthesizers, but a lot of the construction of those songs came from this kind of sampling. And I mean, we're not talking about just taking a snippet of one little drum beat or something and just looping it. They took little intricate pieces of music right down to like just a little like or ooh, that kind of stuff, and made something out of it. And there's actually a lot of great videos on YouTube that show that kind of workflow of how they created the songs using these samples, and it's just crazy. I mean, that's part of why I have so much respect for them, because of the amount of work that they did to make this kind of music. And into Discovery, they released Human After All in 2005. Which, although it's not critically praised by both critics and fans, it's not as, in terms of Discovery, it's still a great album. I like it. I would call it kind of like their like less liked cult release kind of thing, but they actually turned some heads around when they released their live album, Alive 2007, after Human After All, which actually took a bunch of the, essentially their live show was just taking and mishmashing a bunch of their work from their catalog and presenting it in this brand new live electric powerful setting. And that album actually made a lot of critics kind of turn their heads around and think, oh, maybe we should kind of reevaluate Human After All. And then from there, they actually got tapped to do the Tron Legacy soundtrack in 2010, which is an amazing work where they combine their synthesizer and electronic work in combination with orchestral stuff, and it's an amazing piece of art. I love that soundtrack album so much. And although the movie is, you do have some people who are not fans of this movie. I like it. I don't think it's the greatest, but it's a great movie. But I would say the general consensus is that, Daft Punk kind of made it, that movie, as awesome as it was. They helped a lot. Their soundtrack did, and their overall kind of presence amongst that. And then you got to 3 years later, and they released Random Access Memories, which I think is the absolute peak of their work as a group, for several reasons. One is because it's really an accumulation of all that they were doing up to that point, right through with Discovery and Homework into Human After All and the Tron soundtrack. It just led all its way into Random Access Memories. In what they did with Random Access Memories, where they took live musicians and made these songs. Essentially, they were doing what they had done with samples, but they were doing with actual musicians. And in fact, I forgot which one of them said it, but when they were asked about it, they said, with samples, we were just kind of getting bored. We kind of reached our point of just being like, I don't know what the point of this is anymore. But they still wanted to make that music. So they thought, let's just do it with actual musicians. It's something I think they've been trying to do or leading towards. And then they just reached it with Random Access Memories. And my God, it's such an incredible album. I still think it's one of the best albums I've ever heard. It's so well recorded, so well produced, so well executed, in the concept, the songs, the overall feeling of the album, even down to the label on the record. Like, they released it with the classic Columbia Records label, so it just felt, like this is like you felt like you found this record, from the 70s or something. It just the work that they put into it was so good, and the music is just incredible. And for me, that album hit me so emotionally. I was just about to turn 30, and this album, when it came out, I just have so many wonderful memories of this album coming out, both in the single "Get Lucky," which you heard everywhere, but just when I remember getting the album in the mail when it came out, and I had a friend over, and we listened to this album, just danced, and just the memory was just that was such a wonderful memory. And I had, and if it is sad that, they now have broken up with nothing since then, at least nothing full length studio wise as Daft Punk. Since Random Access Memories, they've done collaborations and production work. One of my favorite production works that they did was I think it was Thomas who worked with Arcade Fire on Everything Now, and of course they collaborated with The Weeknd with the song I Feel It Coming, I Feel It Coming, and but I am sad that since Random Access Memories we haven't had any new Daft Punk album or some at least like a swan song kind of album, but all things considered, an album like Random Access Memories is a great album to have as your final piece of work, even if it is like, almost, 10 years since then. But, it is what it is. And I am glad, despite the fact we haven't had any new Daft Punk since then, I am just so glad that we have it. That as with any kind of loss, you evaluate and you look back on everything you had, everything you've shared, all the memories and all that. And I just think about that, and I just think, oh man, it's like, even though they're gone, like, look at what we have here. Like, we have an incredible catalog of work that covers so much wonderful emotion, with Homework and with Discovery and with Random Access Memories. And of course, with Tron and Alive and everything else and the collaborations. Look at this body of work, and you just can't help but just revel on it. Just be like, wow. I still and it's funny that a couple of days ago I was talking to my girlfriend about Daft Punk and how they sampled things and whatnot, and so it is kind of hitting me hard that now we get this news that they broke up. But I feel nothing but the most wonderful emotions when it comes to them. Even in the sadness of them splitting up, I just think about how amazing they are. And, I share this with so many people, and if you're watching this and you're as big a Daft Punk fan as I am, we feel each other's, sadness and pain right now that they broke up, but we also celebrate it with this music and the fact that they gave so much of their brilliant minds into this and gave it to us. So without, going too far out into this, I'm already reaching close to like 15 minutes, but, and just kind of wrapping up, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to Thomas and to Guy Manuel. Thank you for your music. And thank you for giving us your music and your lives, even though they were really closely guarded about their privacy, they still gave us their lives, even through the hiding of themselves with the robot helmets and creating a concept through that. They still gave us their life and their thoughts about about love and life and heartbreak and celebration and dancing and enjoying life. They gave us this because they wanted to share it, and I'm so happy that they did. And despite the fact that they're done, I can't help but feel the utmost gratitude to them for, giving us so much of that over 20 years now. I celebrate them, and I celebrate them along with all the other Daft Punk fans out there. And if you're watching this and you haven't really heard Daft Punk aside from like the hits, on the radio, whatever, I really strongly suggest you go into their discography and dig and listen to it. Even if you don't like it, even if you're not a fan of the dance music kind of style, take a moment to listen to Daft Punk and just kind of listen to what they did and how and the emotion and the work that they put into their music. And I think you'll see like how just fantastic a body of work it is. So, to Thomas and Guy Manuel, I say thank you, and I love you guys, and I hope you two like continue on and just and I just say I'm sorry that you guys had to end things as Daft Punk, but in light of that, thank you so much for giving all of this. And to the Daft Punk fans, my fellow Daft Punk fans out there, I share this with you guys, and let's celebrate. Let's blast some Daft Punk tonight and celebrate these guys and the amount of work and the emotion and everything they gave to us. So on that note, I'm gonna leave you with that. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't give it a thumbs down because they're gone. Give it a thumbs up because Daft Punk's awesome. But if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you like to subscribe to my channel, that'd be even great. I am trying to get some content on here. I'm trying to do some more stuff. My apologies if it's not going to be as frequent. But I am got some cool ideas that I would like to share on YouTube. From like playing video games to doing some actual maybe some DJ stuff. But that will all happen soon enough. But I appreciate you if you've made it to this point in the video. I appreciate you watching. Daft Punk they're one of the greatest in my opinion. And if you feel the same, please comment. Or even if you don't feel the same, please comment. And I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear my fellow Daft Punk fans. If you have a cool story involving Daft Punk, please share it. I would love to hear it. And let's celebrate them today and forever. Listen to their albums tonight. Just celebrate their life and just think about all the awesomeness that is Daft Punk. But I'll leave you with that. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.